Oh yeah, I think I can record now. Thank you.
Okay, so Irie and Kai, you should be able to record. It's just going to record locally on your machine. I'm not going to post this.
Okay, thank
Actually,
you.
there's Tasha, Jordan, do you care? You don't want to record?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
No? Okay, good. All right, so let's continue then. Oop, oh, there goes my screen. I gotta wait till my screen comes back. Come on back, screen. So much for getting started at 12. Okay, it's 12:10. Good. I'm officially getting started. So the first thing I need to do is probably put a month, day, year. Right? Need a month, day, year. So I'll just create some variables. And I'm going to be lazy and just create some global variables. So my birth month is, quote, May. And the day is 14. Make sure that's not a string. And the year is 1966. Again, make sure that's not a string. The only thing that's to be a string should be the month there. All right. And now that I start with my birthday, I need to ask if am I January or February? If I'm January, February, I'm going to take the year as step one. Otherwise, I'm going to take step one as the year minus one. So I could do that in an if statement, or I can use a ternary. I'm going to use a ternary statement. So I'm going to say step one equals, and I'm going to ask the question, is month equal January? Or actually, it looks like my months are full months, full name. So I have to say January. Got to spell it right, January. Or is month equal to February? Probably should have copied and pasted it from the month table. Okay, so if either one of these things is true, I'm going to ask the question. If it's January, February, then then it's going to be year minus one. In fact, I'll put that in parentheses just to make it easier to see. Year minus one. Otherwise, it's just the year. Okay, so that implements this. So instead of doing an if statement, I could have said if month is January, February, then step one equals year minus one. Otherwise, else it's just year. Step one equals year. Or I could have just said step one equals year. If this is this, then it's year minus one. There are a variety of ways to do this, but I thought I'd do it just with a ternary statement. And so now I'm at step two. So step two is to divide step one by 4, drop the remainder, and add to step one. Step two is equal to step one plus divide step one by 4. So I take step one divided by 4, and it says drop the remainder, drop the remainder. So to drop the remainder, I could do a math.floor or a parse int. So I'll just do a parse int. I think it's spelled parse int. Yes, parse int divided by 4. Okay, so that's taking step one divided by 4, dropping the remainder, keeping only the divisor, and then adding it to step 1. That looks good. Okay, so step 3, following this algorithm, is divide step 1 by 100, drop the remainder, and subtract this from step 2. Very important that we subtract it. So I'm just going to copy this because it's almost the same thing. So step 3 is parse 1 divided by 100, but then I want to subtract it from step 2. Okay, divide by 100, drop the remainder, subtract this from step 2. So here's, oh, step 2, step 1. So divide step 1 by 100, right? And that takes the remainder and then subtract from step 2. So that looks good. Save my work. Now I'm going to do something a little interesting. I'm going to start something called NodeMon. NodeMon will do node, but it'll monitor, and anytime I make a change, it'll rerun node. So I'm going to do a NodeMon DAO.js, and I don't get any output from this. Actually, yes.
Shouldn't you put step 2 minus step 1 divided by, no?
It says subtract this from step 2. Oh, you're saying step 2 minus that.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right, Stasha. My God, see, I thought I told you I'd do things wrong. Okay, so thank you. Yep, that would have been a bad mistake. So I'm going to do a console.log. I could have done this interactively too. Console.log. I think I'm supposed to output what the day of the week is at the end, but I'll just say step 3. I don't know if NodeMon actually works with this. Okay, no. Let's just do node day of the week. And the reason why I want to run it, I just want to make sure I didn't do any syntax errors. And it says module not found. Oh, I'm probably not in the right place. Probably hope reveal in integrated terminal. There. Okay, now I'll do a node. Let's do NodeMon day of the week.js. Okay, so I got 2438. That's what that was. All right, so step 4 is divide step 1 by 100 and add it to step 3. Make a little note. Check this. Check this. I might want to make sure I'm subtracting that right. So now step 4 equals step 3 plus step 1 divided by, tile this better. Okay, step 1 divided by 400. Drop the remainder and add to step 3. Okay, so that should do that. And then I save it and notice it automatically redoes it. And I got 2442. Okay. And again, I should probably check all that stuff. Step 5, add the day. Step 5 equals step 4, oops, plus day. Okay, step 6, find the month in the key table and add it to step 5. So I need to make this key table. So I'm gonna copy just this part here. And I need to define us a month key. I need to make this an object. So I just, like that. And let's see if I can do a find and replace. Well, too much. Let's see, could I do a regular expression to do this? So I'm going to do a find here. I'll do a regular expression for anything that's
That has space and integer.
What'd you say?
Space and digit.
Yeah, but I don't need, I'm just gonna try to do something fast here. I'm just gonna do a dot star where it's, I don't know, at least, no. Let's see, I'll do a dot star with a slash space slash tab. This might be too much trouble, wasting too much time with the regular expression. So I'll just click, I'll just do this, double click, double click, double click, double click. These need to be strings. And these things need to be I'm going to replace those with a colon. Okay. All right, so that should be my object, and I'll put a semicolon there, and rerun it, and I got an error, and it's an unexpected string, February 3.
I think you need commas between them.
Oh yeah, I forgot the commas, thank you. Easy to make mistakes like that. So, all right. Just find anything 0 through 9. Not here, I'll just, anything that's a colon, star, dot star, and I'll replace that with a colon. You don't need to do this, you can just do it by hand if you want, but I like to do this to help avoid mistakes. So I'll just do that. Okay, and bang. Let's say go up here. Bang. Next one. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. And boom. All right. Save that. And I'm still getting an error, unexpected string December 4. Oop, I forgot the comma there. Okay, now it's working. Okay, good. So I got that. And so now to look it up, find the key in the table and add it to step 5. So step 6 is equal to, and I should probably call this month key. Step 6 is equal to step 5 plus month key, month. So remember, month key has the, let's see, step 6. There, okay. So 2, 4, 5, 6. So month key has January, February, March, April, May. Here's May, so it added 0 to it. So I got 2, 4, 5, 6. It was the same thing as that. So step 5. So presumably that worked. I could check it by changing this to something like January. Let's make it June. And 2, 4, 5, 9. So that should be 3 more. 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so that worked. Let's go back to May. Okay, and we're almost done here. Step 7. Step 7, I'm going to have to divide by step 6, keep only the remainder. So step 7 is take step 6 and modulo 7. So that divides by 7 and keeps only the remainder and drops the divisor. And now I need to convert this back to a day, but that's easy enough to do with an array. So I'll run this and it says 6, which would be Saturday. Yay, that's my birthday. Okay, now I don't know. Stasha, you saved me a whole lot by noticing that. But you know, it's very easy to make mistakes and you have to trace back. So I'm going to go a little further. Of course, this is not quite done yet. We're supposed to say what day of the week you were born on, right? So it's supposed to say output the day and the day of the week to the console. So I'm going to say that dollar month slash, let's see, how do we do this? May day year was a, and right now I'm going to just say step 7, right? It says May 14th, it was a 6, right? But now I'm going to make it the actual day. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste this. I'm going to call this, I don't know, day num to day is equal to an array. I'm going to make it an array. And I probably want to flip this around. I guess an easy way to flip it around would be, well, I'll just take this column first. Can I just copy that column? Let's see. Put it in Excel or something like that. But actually, I just need this. I just need Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday. I don't need both things. So I need to change all of these into strings. I suppose I could look for anything with a day in it. And then now I want to just change all of these to a comma. So I'll just start up here and I'll look for just 0 through 6 star. Oops, not star. So just 1. Or even better, I'll do this. How about, well, I'll just, I don't know, let's go here. I'm right here. And so I'll just change that with a comma. So comma, 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 comma. And that one I don't need anything. Okay, and I'm done. And so this should make the array here. I could reformat, make it look a little nicer. And my semicolon. Okay, and so that didn't have any syntax error because it ran. And now let me just take day num to day and just use the array. So I just take day num to day, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever this is, right? So notice this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so that's the order that this is in for the index. And now May 14th, 9666 is a Saturday. So I'm officially done with this WOD. It's 12:30, so that took me 20 minutes, including mistakes and all that kind of stuff, which is exactly what the prescribed amount is. I'm going to go a little further and do the extra credit. So let's go do the extra credit. So to do the extra credit, to make it a web app, we're going to need to make it a web app. To make it a web app, we're going to create a new file. And create a new file. And we'll call this, I don't know, dayoftheweek.html. Okay. And we'll start with an Emmet. Right, oops. Just to get that going. Once again, I'm going to do a node. I'm not going to do node mon. I'm going to do a, there's actually a server that will refresh too. I forgot what it's called. But I'll just start my server here. And it says, put the following in the body. Okay, so I will put the following in the body. Right. And this looks like it just puts some input, some boxes. Month, day, year. All right. Let's see if that worked. Just want to localhost :8080. No, we don't want :8080. Oh yeah, it is 8080. :8080. Okay. Just very slow. Okay, and here is day of the week. And okay, so it's got month, day, year, text boxes, which I can type into, and a little clicker. So the key is to take the data from here when I click this and use the algorithm. Okay. All right, so let's see, what do we do next? So add an on click to the button. So add an on click to the button and then make the code work. So here's my button, input type button. And so I'm gonna add the on click method to this. And I'll use double quotes here. And we have to be careful. So I'm going to put a lot of code here. So when I click, I'm going to execute the day of the week code. Now, this is an excellent place for a function. But when we did algorithms, we did it before functions. So technically, you wouldn't have known how to use a function here. But so I'm not going to use we would use a function here because we don't want to put a lot of code here. We just want to call this function and we can put the function somewhere else, the code in it. But we'll just do it the way it was meant to be done before learning about functions. So when I do day of the week here, I got to notice that I have double quotes here. So that means that any place I'm using double quotes inside the code will have to be changed. Otherwise, it's going to conflict. So I have to look here and see, am I using double quotes anywhere? So fortunately, I only use single quotes. And I use backticks here. So it's not going to conflict with anything. So I'm just going to copy all this code here. Now, I don't need to copy this top part. Well, maybe I will copy that top part, but I'm going to copy this and then I'll put it right there. Okay, now the first thing I want to do is I'll save this and I'm going to try my code, and it should just give me an output in the console Saturday, just like it did before. So it's not using the interface. I just want to make sure everything still works. So I'm going to open up the console here. Okay, there's the console. And when I click this find day of the week, the on click will execute my code as before, but the output will be in this console, not over here, right? Because I'm not running it in Node. So I click here and I get nothing. Okay, you know why? I forgot to refresh the page because I need to refresh this page to reload the new code into the browser. So I refresh that. And now click there. And see, it says May 14th was a Saturday. So far everything is still working. I didn't mess anything up. And I've got my interface. And now my job is to get the date, the month, day, year out of this and put it into the day of the week. And I'm sure it has some advice. It says assign the day, month, year to the inner HTML of the respective boxes. For the day and year, you'll need to use parse int to convert the strings to integers. Okay, and these things have day ID, month ID, and okay. So when I use month, day, year here, it says month, day, year. I want to get that. I want to get that from the text boxes. So the text box, the first text box is the month, says month ID, right? So this text, this input is month ID. So if I ask, I can ask for its inner HTML, but I actually should ask for its value. That's better. But you know what? I'm going to go with inner HTML just to see. We'll learn in lab 12. It should be value, but I'll say inner month ID, inner HTML, and then here it would be day ID dot inner HTML, and then year ID. Inner HTML. Okay, now the problem with this is that these things aren't going to give me the numbers that I want. So if I put like, if I put May, that's fine, 14th, 1966. So if I say month ID dot inner HTML, oh, let's see, it says, wow, yeah, okay, so there's a mistake in the WAD. It says you should use inner HTML, and it really does have to be value. I better fix that. That's why I do these things, by the way. I have to check, so it really should be value. Not inner HTML.
What are the differences between the two?
Well, so when you have a form element like a text box, whatever you put into it will be the value of it. And inner HTML would be what's between the open and close tag, but there is nothing between an open and close tag for the input box. See, it says open, there's no close.
Yeah.
So I guess if I did this,
It would work.
yeah, maybe. Interesting to check. I'll take a look. No, that didn't do it either. Anyways, it's just a different kind of thing. There is no inner HTML for these things, so that was a mistake in the instructions. Okay. Anyways, the main thing is that when I did the value of, let's say, the day ID, you see it's a string. So I need to convert that to an integer. So of course I could just do, number here, and that would convert it. But I always want to make sure it's an integer anyway. So I could also just do a parse int. So that'll just make it, always make sure it's an integer. So I want to make the day be that. And I want the year to be the same thing. So I parse int year ID value. Okay, and now the month is already a string, so as long as it's one of the things in my list here, it'll work. So refreshing. And if I put May 14, 1966, I see I got it here. And if I change this to June, see, June 14th was a Tuesday. See, it changed. Okay, it was a Wednesday. All right, so now the other thing is it's not really convenient to have the user type in the month, right? Or even the day. So I'm gonna generate all the months in a select box here. So up here, instead of the month being an input type like this, I'm gonna use month. See, it says ID, select. So it's gonna be the month, and it's gonna generate a pull down box. And it's gonna generate it by going through a loop in the month key. So I better go take this month key, and I need to define it earlier so it can be used there. So I'll just put it right here. Why not? I could put it elsewhere. I could put it in the head, but I'll just put it there. Okay, and so now when I refresh here, I now have a pull down, which has the month. See, January, February, March, April, May. And you can do something for the day and the year too. You can make pull downs if you wanted. So if I make January, that's a leap year. And it says it's Wednesday. So the last thing I want to do is I want to output it nicely onto the screen, not just in the console. So I want to output it to the console. So I don't have that in the instructions, but it is extra credit. And I have see, it says DAO span, day of the week span. So I should probably just write it into that. So instead of console.log here, I'm just going to say, oops, DAO span, right? Dot inner HTML equals that. So now I'm just making it, I don't need those. So instead of outputting this to the console, I'm going to write it to the span there. And let's refresh this. So April 14, 1980. April 14th was a Monday. Okay, that's it, I guess. I mean, you could change the interface any the way you want, but that's pretty much it. And again, we'll learn more about how to use this kind of stuff, Lab 12. Did you guys get this too? Yeah. All right. Now, so that's day of the week. So let's take day of the week out and let's go to the next WOD. So the next WOD would be invoice 3. So invoice 3 starts with invoice 2, and I'm changing the way the subtotal is computed for extended prices. So we want to create a running total, and it says just above where you currently compute the extended, initialize your subtotal variable to 0. We'll call, for these instructions, we'll call this subtotal, okay? Delete the extended price expressions, remove the statements that compute and saves extended prices, remove the statement that computes subtotal, move all the tax and expressions after the last one, but before the subtotal row, directly above the code that prints the first name, add an expression that computes the extended price, add the statement above that adds extended price to subtotal, and assigns it back to subtotal. Don't just replace the bill with extended price, because that's where the running total is, okay? Use the extended price where this is, repeat 6, 7, and 8 for all the items, check that the item matches, and now get product data and do some other stuff. Okay. So I think I get the idea. So the first thing to do, of course, is go start a new WOD. So invoice 3, right? Let's invoice 3 new. And it starts with invoice 2. So I have a copy of invoice 2 here. So I'll copy this and paste this into invoice 3. And I will open an integrated terminal. And I'll do an HTTP server. Get that going. Just make sure it works. Okay, so here's my invoice. It seems to work. That's invoice 2. So now I'm ready to start. I'm gonna say it's about 12:50. And here is invoice 2. So I've got all this stuff here. Should be product data that I'm going to be using, but I have these extended prices. I've got these subtotals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think the issue is that I want to do the subtotal as I create the rows here. So the first thing to do is, well, it says I'm supposed to remove all this junk. No more extended prices. And I don't, I'm going to start the subtotal. I'm going to start the subtotal at 0. And this tax, shipping, and all this stuff needs to be done later. So I'm going to copy this stuff here. I'm going to cut it. And it needs to be done after I do the running total. So I'm going to do the running total here, 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 here. And then when I'm done with that, then with number 5, then I can compute the rest of the stuff. So the algorithm here is that I'm converting something that was computing everything at once in advance to computing the subtotal every time I print a row. So I print a row, I calculate the extended price, right? And then I add it to the subtotal. When I calculate, then I print the next row, I calculate the extended price, add the subtotal, add the subtotal, add a subtotal. So at the end of all these, I will have the subtotal would be the sum of all these, right? So rather than trying to do them all in advance, I'll do them as I'm printing them out. And I won't need more variables. So that's the algorithmic part. And then at the end, all this stuff is computed from the subtotal, so I have to do it after the subtotal is calculated. That's why I moved all that stuff. So the first thing to do here on row 1 is I need to calculate the extended total or extended price. Now, I'm not going to do extended price 1, 2, and 3, just extended price, because I'm going to just keep reusing this over and over again. So the extended price would be price 1 times price 1 times quantity 1, right? And then now I can still use the extended price here. But not extended price 1. And then when I'm done with that, I mean, I could do it right here if I want to, but I'll just say do it here. I'll just say subtotal is equal to subtotal plus extended price. Right? So this is the running subtotal. It takes the old subtotal, which starts out as 0, and adds the extended price. And then I'm just going to do this very same thing for products 2, 3, and 4. So change this, but change this to 2 and 2. And I probably could do a find and replace with a regular expression to do this, but I'll just do it one at a time for now. It would be better to use an expression. I have a very clever way, since you have these names here, I could have done it like with using that. But there's only 5. Since there's only 5, I'll just do it by hand. Okay, now if I did this correctly, I should get exactly the same table right now as this. So I save this. If I refresh this, it should look exactly the same. And sure enough, there it is. See, it's exactly the same. Just to double check that I didn't do anything, I did something weird, I'll just change something like on row 1 here. I'll make it this plus, 1,000, just so you can see. See how it's working. So far I got everything going. That's pretty much it for this, except for it says that we want to use the objects for this. Now, these instructions might be wrong. It says, now go get product data.js, load this file in the head, and use a product data object. So that means I need to change all these things to using the array. So I'm going to go get product data .js from smartphone products 3. So here's smartphone products 3, and here's product data.js. So I'll copy that and paste that over here. So here's product data.js. It defines this products array. And just like in smartphone products 3, you know how it uses the object, right, for printing it out. It's the wrong thing. I don't want that. Here's smartphone products 3. Here's display products. So it loads it in using this script. It's a script source product data.js. So that's how I load it in from an external file. So I'll copy that and I'll put that in my head. So here in this script here, which defines all that stuff, I'm just going to do that. Oops. And this script still needs to be there. I still need to start out. In fact, I don't even need this here. I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna take the subtotal. The subtotal equals 0. I can start that down here. So I'll start with my subtotal 0 there. This just loads the product data in. And I deleted my product data. And so now I have this products array. And so I have to use brand, price, and image in this array 0, 1, 2, 3 for this stuff. Just like I did here. So I want to replace item 1, right? I want to replace that with name 1. Quantity 1, where's my quantities? Oh, did I delete my quantities? Oops, I got to go back and get those. Invoice 4. Unfortunately, I need to leave my quantities. Forgot my quantities need to be there too. But you know what? I'm just going to define a new one. It doesn't really matter. So where am I? Okay, so right over here, I'm going to, I'll just say quantity equals, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just whatever, some quantities. And I have the products array. So I need to change this. This needs to be products name 0, or products name 1, actually. So that's kind of annoying. I can't think of an easy way to replace it all with that, but we'll just make it 1. So let's say products name, products item. So I'm going to find, I'm going to do a regular expression. So I'll find anything with item, and then dot star in it. Maybe I'll just make that a number. I'll make that 0 through 9, 1. Okay, so anything I want to replace that with a products square bracket, whatever that number is, dot name. Okay, let's see. So see, that's products 1 name, 2 name, and again, that's, oh, I guess it's brand, not name, brand. So I'll undo and change that to brand. Okay, now if this works, all right, I'm gonna undo this and now redo that. Okay, so that's brand. Okay, so right now it's not gonna give me any of the prices or quantities, but it should give me the brands. So let's refresh this. And okay, I'm getting uncaught reference, right. So it's not even printing it out because I have these errors. But let's just see if I've got products here. Products 1 dot brand. Apple. Okay, so let's change this price. We want to change price instead of item. We want to change price to price. And that changes all those. And yeah, so notice it changed it here too. Products 1 dot price times quantity 1. Okay, so I think that changed everything I need. Well, we need to change quantity to the array quantity. So I'm going to look for quantity. Again, you could do these by hands instead of regular expressions. I need to change the quantities, but this I'm just going to change just the quantity. Let's see. Just the array element, quantity, that. Okay, see, it changed it to 1, 2, 3. Now, the only problem here is that this starts out at 0. So just to mess, I'm just going to put a null here. So element 0 has nothing. Element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 has those quantities in it. All right, so now if I refresh this, now I get Apple, Nokia, Samsung, BlackBerry, 1, 2, 3, 4. And see, almost everything's working. Something's not working down here with my tax, shipping, and total. So let's go see why. Oh, I got an uncut type error. Cannot read property price of undefined on line 76. Oh, that's because I don't have a products 5. I only have a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So unfortunately, I don't really know of any way using regular expressions that you could subtract numbers. So I'm gonna have to do this by hand, but I'm gonna cheat, and I'm gonna make this a lot easier. So I notice that all these rows here, there's no difference in these rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just gonna delete them and use a loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, with that. So now I'm gonna have row 1, right? And so I'm just gonna say print a product row, and I'm just gonna do a 4. Now, I could count, I could go through the quantities array, or I could go through the products array. So I'll just go through the products array. Maybe go through the quantities array. I'll just say for quantity, I'll say for quantity, no, I'll make it index. I'll say for I, is it in? I think that works, quantity. So this is going to go through here. It's going to give me 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So I think it's just going to give me the index. It's like a for loop. A for I equals 0, I less than or equal to quantity dot length, right? Quantity plus plus. It's the same thing. It's a shortcut to that. So I'm going to change this from products to just products I. And now I run this, and look, now it's giving me all the things in my quantities. So I think that officially concludes 107. So I started 50, 60, 70, so 27 minutes is probably the new RX time for this.
This is very hard. You say there it's easy, but it's not easy.
It is easy. Yeah. Again, the way I did it is not necessarily the way you would do it. It is easy, Sasha. It is. But it doesn't mean you don't need to think. You can't just expect to follow the instructions. So when it comes to the WODs, as we've been progressing in the WODs, the instructions become less and less detailed. They become less, don't just do this. They become more like advice, right? And so it doesn't preclude you from really thinking things through. You cannot just mindlessly follow steps. You have to learn, you have to just figure out how you're going to do this. And the suggestions, so I mean, that's probably what you're finding hard. Now remember, it's algorithmic here. Algorithmic thinking is going to be more difficult for you. And this is one of your first ones. So you're supposed to be thinking about, how do I do things in such a way that I can make use of, how do I do this in such a way so I don't have to add things, I don't have to print things out one at a time, So now I'm just using this loop here. And again, it builds on everything you've learned before.
I think just the syntax when using for and if loops hasn't yet synced in, at least for me.
Well,
so I don't know how to write it. I know conceptually how it should look like.
But you can do this. You can do this. This is the same thing. For I less than quantity dot length, I plus plus. It's exactly the same. Okay. So again, you didn't have to use what I did. I happen to like that little shortcut. You just have to type a little bit less, right? But it's the same thing as this. So you don't, I highly encourage you to get used to that for in and for of, but if you don't want to use it, you never have to use them if you don't want to. You can always do something else that will work. Any other questions about this? And again, WODs are meant to be a challenge. Do not get upset if you have a hard time with it. What you want to do is try to figure out why am I having a hard time with this? What do I need to do? Maybe for Stasha, it's I need to study loops again. I don't understand how to, find and replace things easily. So each each WOD will have different lessons for you. You may have to focus on. They may be different than for different people. So use the WODs as a way to practice, find out where you're having problems and weaknesses, and then work on them and get better. And that the good thing is you a indication for you that you've gotten good. Or maybe I'll make this extra credit. I don't know. All right. So any questions on invoice 3? No. Okay. Yeah, those they're definitely getting a little more tough. So let's do. I'm gonna do invoice 4. Let's do invoice 4. What's invoice 4 all about? Functions. Okay. Initialize it with some. We already did that. Represents the quantity in that. Create a function, generate item rows. This function should use the products quantities array. Oh, as a parameter. And loop through that. Use document write. Replace all the invoices with that. Okay. Well, this is going to be really easy for me given the way I did the last WOD. And then use the non-negative integer and from lab 11 and generate the item rows. Okay, so, all right. Well, so the first thing to do, of course, is create invoice 4. Wrong place. So in this WOD, invoice 4, new. Okay, and I'm going to copy these two things into there. And I'll just make sure it works. This is invoice 3 new. You don't want that. Oh. That is not what I wanted. I copied the directory in there. And I don't want invoice 3 new there. Okay. All right, now I'm ready to go. Okay, there's my invoice. And I think I'm ready to rock and roll. So it is 118. Four. All right, so first thing to do is got a copy, and now I get the products array and copy that into invoice 4, define an array of quantities. I think I did all that already. So here I'm loading in the products. And here's the quantities. I guess they're called quantities. And the index and the index of product. Okay, so you match the index of quantities. Okay, that does, it matches. Right. So all it's saying is that this quantity here, which is index 0, needs to match. That's supposed to represent product 0 and product 1 and product 2. That's all that's saying. All right. And now create a function called that. So I'll just copy that. Void means it doesn't return a value. So it's an action. It just does stuff. So I'll just define this function. I don't know. I like to define functions out of the way. So I'll put them at the bottom here. So this is just going to be a function. Generate item rows. Array product items there. Okay. And right now it does nothing. But I'll just make sure that I didn't mess anything up there. Oops, uncaught quantity is not defined. Yeah, so I got to change quantities to quantities. So I'm going to look for quantity and change that to quantities. Okay. All right. Unexpected identifier at 91. That's weird. Oh, it says array. Yeah, I don't want that. It's supposed to just be a parameter. Okay. There. All right, so that works. And now I go to, so I define that and replace the invoice item rows by calling this function. I'm supposed to call this function. All right, so I need to take all right, so I need to define this function properly. I should update the instructions. So the function should print out the rows, which is this thing right here. So it says product rows. So this all this stuff here. Actually, I don't, maybe it's just this document right. It's not a very interesting function, but so this document right, product quantities array. Oh, actually, so this needs everything. So I'll update this again. One more time. So I need to take all of this and I'll cut that. And I'll
What
put
about
that.
quantities?
Huh?
What about quantities? You had a
No,
variable.
I don't want that. I'm going to leave that out. That's going to be passed in. So I'm going to generate item rows. I'm going to be given a quantities array. So then I'm going to start the subtotal as 0. I'm going to do my loop through the quantities. And I'm going to calculate the extended price and the subtotal. Yeah, this is not good because it uses, all right. And anyways, we'll just follow these instructions. And this should print out the rows. So generate item rows, where I cut that stuff from, I'm going to put the function. So right here. So I generate item rows like that. So calling this function is just going to do the same code that was there before. The only thing that's different is I'm passing in the quantities array. I don't like the fact that it takes subtotal as a global, but I think it makes more sense if I do this. So I start out with that. So I define subtotal outside the function. I have to do that because I need subtotal. So actually, generate item rows should return the subtotal, but this is kind of a cheesy way to do it. Okay, so I set the subtotal equals 0, so it's outside the function, so I can use it inside the function. It's not local to the function. I generate the item rows. It's going to go through this loop and print out everything, document write it, and calculate the subtotal. Okay. So when I run this, it should just look like it did before. But I got a reference generate item rows is not defined. That's weird. This function, oh, I actually have to do this up above because I'm using it directly when the page loads. So I need to put that up here. Okay, there. So now I'm getting the same thing, except for now it's in a function. Notice the subtotal works. All right, and now, now what do we want to do? We want to put a conditional in the function that says skip it if I should only calculate things that are non-zero. So in this loop, I don't want to calculate an extended price or add to the subtotal or do a document write if the quantity is 0, right? So I could just put an if statement here. If quantities I is 0, right? Then I'm just going to do a continue. Again, you don't have to do it this way. You could say, if it's greater than 0, then do this. So you could do it that way. But this is just another way of just say, skip this unless the quantities are not equal to 0. So if I make my quantities here, I'll just make the second one 0 and that one 0. And I refresh this, you'll see that this will disappear and that'll disappear. See, now I'm only looking at 3 rows. I'm not getting the 0 rows anymore. And again, this is just a fancy way. This is just a fancy way. I could have just said this too. If it's greater than 0, then do all of this. See, that's the same thing. Same thing. But I prefer this. I prefer to say, if it's equal to 0, skip it. Just go back to the top and go to the next thing. All right. Now we're going to copy is non-negative integer from lab 11 and use it to check that the quantity is valid before writing the table. If a value is invalid, have it skip the calculation and print the table row and it says if it's invalid, have it skip the calculation and printing the table row. Test this function performs as expected. Okay, so this is easy. So we got to go get from lab 11 the is non-negative integer, which I'm not finding here, okay? It's an old lab 11. So I'll just search for it. Maybe I'll just go get it from lab 11. Too hard to find it. Let's see. That was in wait, did it say lab 11? Yeah, lab 11. Where's my is non-negative integer? Here it is. Okay, so oops. Function is non-negative int, takes an integer and does that. Okay, so this was supposed to return that. So let's format the document to make it look nice. So is non-negative integer. Start out with no errors. Is it that? Is it that? There's supposed to be a third one. Ah, how did that get? That vanished. Okay, that one too. All right.
Professor, would you mind spending a few minutes just explaining what this code does? Because especially this return, or you did already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't you remember?
I remember. I don't remember what you said. Yeah.
This code just checks to see, is this a non-negative integer, right? It just says, is this like a number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, that's all it's checking. And it tells you if it's not. So the problem is when users enter something into a text box, they can enter, it's a string, they can enter anything they want, right? And we want to make sure that they're entering a number. So this is a way to check that we got a number. Okay, so what am I supposed to do with this? I'm supposed to use it to check here. So we're going to use is non-negative integer. So not only are we going to change if the quantity is 0, right? But we also want to see if it's a non-negative integer. If it's not a non-negative integer, I want to skip it. I don't want to print it out. So I'm going to say this or is non-negative integer quantities I, right? And I want to see this should return true or false. If I don't give it if I don't say the errors, it's just going to return true or false. True if it is a non-negative integer, false if it's not. So if it's not a non-negative integer, I want to skip it. So I'm going to say if not is non-negative integer, then continue. Got to flip the logic, right? Okay, so let's try this out. Now, if I just do this, it should just be 1, 3, 5. Oh, return errors is not defined. Got to say return. Oh, I forgot to make this. Oops. I forgot to define this. Yeah, I forgot the optional parameter here. So is non-negative integer, this is what we did in the lab 11. Do I return errors or just true, false? All right, so now I refresh this. And what did I do wrong here? So is non-negative integers. Oh, I took the not out. There we go. Okay, so now I get back that. And now I'm going to test that it's actually working by putting some bad data in here in my quantities. So here's my quantities, right? So here I'm going to put a, I'll put a 1.1, -1, quote cat, right? And then 4 and a 5 here. So this should just print out 4 and 5. These should be skipped. Yep, there it is. So that worked. Check. So now the next thing I want to do is not just skip it, but maybe print it out. Say you have an error here. So let's go. I have to go back to the WAD thing. Conditional loops. All right. So rather than skipping, modify what is printed. So the corresponding cell says what the error is in red. When there's an error, extended price should be set to 0 to avoid fouling up the calculations. Okay. So what we want to do here is we don't want to just skip it. So we're going to cut this. I'm going to take that out. Still want to skip it if it's 0. But then what we want to do is print it out. So let's just say so I'm going to say errors is equal to is non-negative integer. And at this time, I'm going to say I want the errors to print out. So errors is non-negative integer. So this is going to give me an array of errors. You know, not a number, negative value, whatever. And these I don't want to skip it. I want to print it out. So I'm going to say if errors dot length is greater than 0, so if I have errors, I don't want the quantities to be, I don't want to mess up the quantities. So I'm just going to say extended price equals 0. Now, I actually need to do it after I do the extended price because I'm going to end up I'm going to end up redefining extended price here. So I can take this and do this afterwards, like this. But a better way to do it would be using a ternary operator. So ternary operator, this is a good time for a ternary operator. I would just take this. So I'm going to use a ternary operator because this is more clear. If I have, I'm going to say if it's equal to 0, right? Then it's this. That's extended price. Otherwise, it's just 0. So it's the same thing as putting an if statement afterwards. You can do whatever you want. Okay, but I like this. If I have no errors, calculate the extended price like this. Otherwise, let the extended price be 0. Okay, let's make sure I didn't mess anything up. Okay, and now it's printing out, see, cat, -1, whatever. It's skipping the zeros. But now I want it to put underneath here what the errors are in red. So that's over here when I'm printing out quantities here, right? I'm going to add an expression here now that says that if I have if I have errors, I'm just going to print them out. So the first thing to do is just print them out. So I'll just print them out here by doing this. Let's see. Errors dot join. And I'm going to join them with errors.join. I'm going to join, stop that. Join them together with a BR. Oops, I don't need that. So what this does is if I have an array that has not a number in it, see it says errors push, push, push. If I have an array with not a number and negative value, it's just going to combine those two strings and put a BR between them. And so that'll print it out. I probably want a BR in front of this anyways. My guess, I'll just put a BR here for now. And let's see what this does. See, not an integer, negative value. See these things, that comes from the errors array and joining them up. Now all I need to do is make them red, which is easy enough to do. I'll just put it in here. I'll just say font color equals red. There it is. And that's it. Notice that these guys don't print out anything because the error array is empty. So if the error array is empty, it joins it with nothing. And so it doesn't print out anything. And that's it. That concludes invoice 4. Yes, a little harder. Again, let's see, what time did we finish this? 1:43. I just want to reiterate that the WODs are meant to push you. They're not meant to be super easy. You may have to work on them quite a bit until you can get good at it. But you'll learn a lot and you'll build your skills a lot. The WODs try to really put into practice the stuff that you've been learning. And so, it's going to be hard. and the instructions are not going to just tell you exactly what to do. They're going to give you enough so that you're not completely clueless, right? But not so much that you don't have to think through things yourself. Okay, so that's it for the WODs. I don't know how much time was given for invoice 4. That was, see how it looks the same? It says 20 minutes. I think I took more than 20 minutes on that. 18, say 20. No, it was about 20 minutes. Maybe a little longer, 25 minutes. I might update some of these things to make it a little more clear. Like it doesn't say what to do with this, but it's supposed to print out the things. And these two things already came from invoice 3. So I might modify that.
And you have extra array there in the void generate item rows. In the 3.
Oh, yeah. With this one, it says generate item rows. I have an extra array.
No, up in the 3.
Oh, no, no. This is the function signature. So this is just saying create a function with interface. Void means doesn't return a value, right? This is the identifier, and it takes an array. It says it takes an array whose parameter you're going to call this. So this is not meant to be the function. This is describing the function. Do you understand? Yeah. So, like if you look up a function in W3 Schools, you'll see that's the way it's described. So let's look up JavaScript. I don't know, what's a function that, let's look up a join. See how it says like array dot join separator? Like you don't actually use these, right? Yeah, this is just saying you put an array here,
Yeah.
give it an array, and here you give it what the separator is. In any case, you'll see that it's just the function signature that I was describing.
Definition.
Yeah. Anything else? Anybody have any other questions about invoice 4?
No, but this is me, okay? Without actually you showing us or going with us through the lab on functions, I wouldn't know how to do that. I mean, I didn't know how to, I tried doing lab.
Wait, I don't understand what you're asking. We did go through the lab on functions.
Oh, no, only first like 3. We had several.
No, we did.
left.
I left you
Really?
only the last. I left you the last 2
Oh,
exercises.
then I was lost.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah,
have
the
to
last
watch
2
the video.
exercises those aren't relevant for this. Yeah, those are more specialized things about functions. You know, those last two ones, yeah, we did. We did all of the exercises except for the last 2.
Because I was trying to solve it.
Yeah. Well, it's recorded. Yeah, we did all these. The only thing we didn't do is this one and this one. And these you need to do on your own. You'll figure them out. They're not that super hard, but they're very instructive to help you understand more things about functions.
Mhm.
Yeah, but this is the one, we definitely went through this. I think we may have went very quickly through this last part, and you can always ask for help. When you go through the lab again, that's the time to say, oh, I didn't get this. Yeah, don't necessarily wait for having trouble in the WAD.
Mhm.
Okay, who wants to go through you want to go through another WAD somewhere, or do you want to talk about a WAD you're having problems with?
Should we do this, the last WAD, should we do it before the next class or not? Just the first 2.
Which one? Number 4?
Number 4.
4 needs to be done before next class. Yeah. You already did day of the week in invoice 3, right?
I didn't do invoice 3.
Well, it won't. I don't think it's going to take you too long to do them. They're important to do, and all of these things are useful for the assignment, by the way. So, you don't want to skip any of these. Don't skip WADs.
No.
So, Audie, Kai, Jordan, Ashley, do either of you want to any WAD questions, or you want to go through another one, or take a look at what you're working on? Or anything?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go back to watch the recording and then try follow.
Yeah, I would encourage you to not just go to the recording first. I would encourage you to try to do the WADs, and only if you really just get stuck, then go to the recording.
Yeah, that's
it's really, yeah, it's really important that you try to do these. And I know I might update the WAD instructions to try to make them a little more clear, but when you think about, like, for assignment, when you're going to have to write your own program, you don't have any instructions at all usually, right? So you don't want to get too reliant on having solutions or instructions. Yeah, you really want to push yourself to get to, like, what do I want to do? What do I need to do? How should I go about doing this? And and just be ready to bang your head against the wall for a few minutes, and make mistakes. As you can see, I make mistakes all the time. And do you see it bothering me at all? No. I mean, like, I don't get mad at myself for it. I don't think I'm stupid. I mean, it may be a stupid mistake, but right? It's more like, it's more like, how quickly can I find and fix those things more than anything. it's the way you go about it makes a huge difference. If you notice, I took my time in working on these things. I didn't sit there and rush, right? And sometimes I might start doing something and I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like the way this is going. This is taking too long, or maybe I can find an efficient way to do something like find and replace stuff. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's not worth it. Maybe it's just do it by hand, right? So these are the kinds of decisions you're just going to make all the time. So try not to get too hung up on something. If something's not working out, do something different, right? Don't just try to do the same thing over and over again or keep banging your head against the wall. And if you really can't figure something out, go on to something else and come back to it. You don't have to follow steps necessarily. And be careful about testing things as you go. That's the real important thing. I think one thing that beginners don't do is they just write way too much code before trying it out. And then you end up making a lot of mistakes in there, and then it becomes very hard for you and time consuming to find and fix everything. And you get lost. You also get lost. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore, right? So take a little piece, know exactly what you need to do, try doing it, test to make sure it works, then go on to the next thing. And as you go, if you find that you're having a hard time, then go back and go back and figure out, do I really know what I want here? Maybe you misunderstood, or maybe you didn't really, you're thinking on it, or the way that you were trying to go about it wasn't working really well. So you just go backwards. So nobody has any particular WODs they want to go on? Okay, how about labs? Yeah, what lab do you want to go to, Stasha?
11.
Which one?
11 functions.
Okay. I said I'd open it up to anything you want. What do you want to look at here?
I had the problem with applying. Well, let me just give me a second to open it.
Which one?
When we, oh, just a second. So sorry, now with all my screens, I don't know where I'm. Lab 11.
This is lab 11.
Okay, so the non-integer, okay, that's 5. Yeah, what does it say there? Exercise 3 up. Yeah, so it says that what inverts species back into the string. So I know that it should be with join, or what was the function that
join? We just used it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's join.
But I didn't do it. I couldn't do it that way.
Well, that's the way you do it.
I did it differently.
How did you do it? I'm not sure how you do it differently. Did you?
Well, I did it differently. I can show you.
Sure.
Okay, open.
Hold on, let me see. I want to see. Did you join them manually?
It's horrible. No, it's very ugly, but it worked.
Well, I'm curious.
You need to enable me to share this.
I am. I don't know. There's probably another function that does something similar to join.
It's not function. I did for loop.
Well, you probably recreated the join function.
Yeah.
Yeah. That looks exactly what you did. It looks like you just recreated the join function. So just replace it with join.
So how?
So you have your pieces. That's your array, right?
Attributes, pieces, it splits. Yeah.
So you want X to be all of the stuff that's being joined, right?
Okay.
So all of that. You comment it out. Comment out after 4. Comment out lines 5, 6, and 7.
Now.
And it looks like you're joining things together with commas.
Yeah.
And spaces.
It says they're joined in with commas, I think.
Well, okay, so there's two different things. You want to print out the type. Well, what is exactly the exercise asking you to do anyways?
It's asking you to print out the type and then the attribute.
So why do we need a join?
Yeah, no. I know you mentioned
I think
there the class.
I think what you have there is fine, except for I don't know why you didn't just do one at a time. Why didn't you put that console.log in the loop?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? You can uncomment. Uncomment all this code. And why do you, and so take that X on line 7 and put it on a second line, put it on a new line.
On a new line?
Yeah, just, yeah, in between. It looks ugly like this. Just put it between the curly
Ah,
braces.
yeah, okay.
Enter. There. Okay, that's better. Now, this is what you want to print out,
Yeah.
right? So just take out the X plus equals.
Yeah.
And replace it with console log, parenthesis. No, leave that alone. Delete that. Console dot log. Take out the X, the plus equals, parenthesis. Okay, and then yes. Okay, now delete line 12.
But it needs to have this length.
Why do you
minus
need
one.
the length?
Because it's gonna print out a comma after the last. It's not gonna be the same. It's gonna print out the
Take
comma.
that, why are you doing all, take that comma out anyways? I don't know what you're doing. Just take that last one out.
Yeah.
Why don't you just print, it'll just make it print a new line. Okay, save it. Now node ex1.js.
Okay, I have to. Which one is it?
All right, you got an unexpected token online. Scroll up more. Line 18. 18. Oh yeah. Oops. Okay. There.
Is it? But why is it that one under? It totally confused me because when I print out the string, it goes the word, the comma, word, comma, word, and then when I do the type off, it goes one under another.
Well,
so it's like
you have full control about what prints where. You just have to decide how you want it to look, right? So I'm not quite sure what you were trying to do, but so whenever you do a console log, it'll print out whatever you put in there and then a new line.
Oh.
So you know, so I don't know why. Yeah. So what else? What about this? So far we haven't even used the function join.
No. But you mentioned that at the lab, so I know that you planned us to do it that way, but I could do it that way.
But I don't know what that I used a join. Let me see
Not
what the lab said.
Not join. It was a different one. Let me see.
I think the question was asking what could you use to.
Yeah, it's asking what could you. I interpreted you wanted us to use it. Join. Yeah, join. Join then comma in the brackets.
Wait, I'm just trying to see if it asks you to even use it.
No, it's not. It just asks us what is the function that you
Yeah, yeah. It's just because you could see it's useful. We used it in invoice 4, right?
So you say we did the whole 4, right? So we need to do 5 and 6.
So I think maybe we skipped the. We could do it. I think we skipped C and D. One is just like C is just like the name. Did we do B? Add an optional Boolean parameter, return errors. That returns true if the array of errors. So, well, let's go look at your, hold on, maybe something about what you have here looks weird. It says you're supposed to use the is non-negative integer on A. It says have a function that returns true after checking. Write a loop to test this function on pieces. Okay, so your function just says type of, but it doesn't, you're not using the function. Where's your is non-negative int?
That's the previous exercise. This one, does this
Oh,
one?
it's just 3. This is just exercise 3.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, it does say on B, you're supposed to use join. It says modify your program to put the data type, use this function to invert, and then use this function invert pieces of string. Oh, it just says change the commas to semicolons. Okay, so let's do that. This is trivial, right? So on line 10, right? Just do a console.log parenthesis. Okay, so we're going to just do a pieces dot join parenthesis. So you notice that the attributes is separated by semicolons, right? So now we want to separate it with a comma. No, you have to make it quote comma. There, now semicolon there, and now run it, and you'll see it'll now your things will be joined by commas. Oops. So it says you couldn't find EX1. Is this EX3?
I just renamed it. Oh.
Oh, yes, you got to call it EX3. See at the bottom? Stasha, comma, boom, comma, comma. See? That's how to use join.
Yeah. It's like, but it's like you have two tasks in a single.
I don't understand. 2 paths?
You have one thing.
Well,
say,
so no, attributes is that string, right?
Yeah.
And you're using join to create a new string from those parts that's separated with a comma instead of a semicolon.
My interpretation of your assignment was that it should print out this. It's just a string Stasha, string 37, string, that's how I interpreted that I should print it. And my code did that.
Yeah, I know, but that's not what it said to do.
I know, that's how I read it.
Okay. It's okay. It's easy to misinterpret the things. The instructions aren't always super clear, and sometimes they can be read differently.
It's basically like there are 2 tasks.
Yeah.
You have to print. There are 2 console logs. There are 2 tasks you should.
Well, there are 2 tasks here.
Yeah.
This is for B though. This is not for A. This is for B. This is not for. This is just showing you how to use join. I mean, it was just the idea. The point is that it's just all about using functions. There wasn't anything to this. If you're not using a function, then you're missing the point of the exercise.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So whatever you do, it should have something to do with the function. Yeah. You want anything else on lab 11 you want to look at?
Yeah, I started doing the next and I couldn't. So I don't know where I got stuck. I have
4?
to. Sorry?
You got stuck on 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely you want to do the lab before you do the WAD. You know what I'm saying? It's like you know, there's a reason we do the WODs after the labs, is that the WODs are meant to put into, you know, application. It assumes that the labs help you understand the concepts, you know, more.
Yeah, but I didn't even start thinking about invoice 4 because I
Yeah.
didn't solve. It's like I have 3, you
Yeah.
have lab, you have invoice, you have 2 WODs, and like I was doing a little
Well,
bit this,
those
a little
two
bit
WODs,
that.
those 2 WODs were supposed to be done already. You know that
they're
those
supposed
are
to be.
past due. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm only reminding people to do them if they haven't, because I know a lot of people didn't do them, right? And they're important, right? So, those were already done. Those were after the WODs. So the only things you have to do are invoice 4, and you need to start with assignment 1 and prepare for lab 12, and you need to finish lab 11. You need to finish lab 11, and that's just normal stuff for us. It's just normal stuff, nothing additional. Yeah. So and this class requires a sustained, you know, continuous effort. There's just no breaks. Sorry. The moment that you stop doing stuff, you'll fall behind.
No, I didn't stop doing. I was doing them all the time, all this time. I just didn't know how to do them, and that stopped me.
Yeah, you will always have problems with everything. Yeah, just expect it. All you have to do is you just have to make sure that you're very good about getting help. So I'm not criticizing you.
I'm not shy. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I somebody gave me the book, so I have some reference here as well.
Yeah. There's also an infinite number of things online for free.
There is, but it's nice and handy to have a reference next to you, not only online, because online you have too many choices.
You know, everybody has their what works best for them. Yeah, you find whatever works for you is good.
Yeah, the regex tutorial that you sent me is really good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you like it. I didn't go through it. It just looked like a good one.
It is a good one.
Are you talking about the video or the?
No, not the video. I did it like the
interactive one. Yeah. Regex is hard. It's real, but boy, is it useful.
It's super useful. It's just that it doesn't show how you. It shows what you're gonna type here, but not how to replace it. So what I see there, you have like 1 and 2 and that it doesn't show there. So I guess maybe the video has that.
Well, maybe there's a more advanced one. I don't know. Those are called substitutions. Anything else on lab 11 or any other labs? Don't be shy.